Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the official one and only Smite Super Builds. Today we have an updated build that's been very much requested for Thanatos. Now first I want to quickly go through his abilities and how they kind of matter into building Thanatos for the newer players to Smite and or to Thanatos. The first point I wanted to make is that for casting his abilities, he uses both mana, which actually isn't too much, but he actually uses a portion of his HP to cast his own abilities. With that being said, a lifesteal item could be very handy, but also he does have a ways to get his HP back built into his kit. Starting with his passive, if you kill an enemy, minion and or god, you get a portion of that target's maximum HP back. Another point not too many people actually notice this is you actually have a cooldown reduction of 5 seconds if you can land the killing blow on a target. So this works really well if you have a cooldown reduction item like Yoan's Wrath, between that 25% cooldown reduction and this, and you can get really good at landing the killing blows. You can just continuously cast your abilities and get more kills. So that's how that kind of works out. Next point I want to make is his Death Scythe is a great way to get your HP back because a portion of your damage dealt, 75% to be exact, you get back in healing. So it's a really great tool to have as far as doing long range damage, which is a huge amount. You never forget this ability if you get hit by it, and you get some healing back. And then of course, like I said, you can see here how low the mana costs are in the early game, 20, 25, things like that. But his cooldowns are actually sort of high because he has that built into his passive, the cooldown reduction. So a cooldown reduction is definitely a must-have for casting your abilities. Now let's get into actually building Thanatos. Now for Conquest, pretty much in any role, especially like even jungling, even if you're jungling, you pretty much go for the Death's Toll starter item. The main reason, like I mentioned before, you don't really use much of your mana at all as Thanatos in the jungling role, so Death's Toll is the better pickup. You get a plus 15 physical power. Bumma's Mask has no physical power. You also get 90 HP, and Bumma's Mask has no HP on it, and the passive works well. Just using your basic attacks just to clear mobs, minion waves, things like that to get your health, and also your little bit of your mana you do use, you get it back. So let's just pick that item up real quickly. Now going into boots, we pretty much always go into the warrior tabby to kind of maximize our ability damage. So yeah, warrior tabby definitely the best bet to go. Next, you definitely want to go into a Yoan's Wrath if you're going to pick up any cooldown reduction item. You definitely want to get it in the earlier stages of the game so you can get the maximum usage of it. Yoan's Wrath has a little bit of everything, so it makes it definitely a great item to pick up. Mana to complement the cooldown reduction, the penetration, you can never go wrong with penetration and smite, and really high physical power. Next, you have a few options you can go in here. If you want to go into your lifesteal item, you can go into it now. It could be either a Blood Forge, or if you want to go with something that has actual attack speed to benefit from the 3-hit progression hit chain, and also a really great boxing item. If you're just boxing against another hunter or another assassin, you can go with the Aussie for your lifesteal choice. So after you decide if you want to go into a lifesteal item, you can kind of go into the rest of the build. But before I get too ahead of myself, the one other point I want to make, if you want to go with the maximum cooldown reduction build, you can go into the Hydra's Lament right after Yoan's Wrath for that maximum of 40% cooldown reduction. The way this pretty much works, if you're familiar with Polynomicon for the mages, this works sort of the same way. After you cast an ability, you have a certain duration, and your next basic attack does additional damage. In this case, it would be 25%. So that's an optional item if you want to go into, but let's just stick with a lifesteal item for now. Let's just stick with the Blood Forge. After this point, after you decide which lifesteal item or you want to go with Hydra's Limit, you probably want to go into the Titan's Bane. I feel this is like another core item to pick up for Thanatos. Trying to reach that full penetration rate and get closer to true damage is always a great thing for just building in Smite. Next, you can go into a crit item just so your basic attacks have a good amount of punch to it. You can go into Rage. Rage overall is higher DPS wise compared to Deathbringer, but Deathbringer, it's like if you crit somebody, you're going to crit them really hard, and also we have that 20 extra physical power that we have on Deathbringer, so our abilities do more damage. So you can make that decision for yourself, or you can go into both of them, you know, just sell your start item mid to late game, whatever, and go into Death's Toll. Or if you don't go into the lifesteal, I just need a second to set all this up since there's no sell out button. You can go into something like this for a no lifesteal build. you can go into Hydras, Titans, and then Mage Deathbringer. This would be like a no lifesteal build. Sorry, no lifesteal build, maximum cooldown reduction, real high penetration between your two, giving you penetration, Yohan's Wrath, and Titan's Bane, and critting extremely hard. Now those are some optional items. Now let's go into optional defensive items. Optional defensive items I feel would be, for one, Spirit Robe. If you don't have the Hydra's limit for the 15% and you also want that 50%, you could go into the Spirit Robe, giving you that cooldown reduction and also the protections. Or you can go into the Magus Blessing if the enemy team has a lot of hard CCs that are really stopping you. You can go into that if you really want to. So yeah, those are some optional defensive items that you can go into. Now, talking about actives real quickly here. As you notice, Thanatos has no escapes except his ultimate, which if you use that to initiate, then you're probably not going to have it back up to get back out. So in that case, maybe Combat Blink may be an optional item for you. If you're not able to sustain yourself off lifesteal and your abilities, you could probably pick this up if you really want to. You can go into the Curse Tree, just slowing down all enemy targets, so that way you have an easier time landing your one ability and other items or your other abilities like that. As far as Assault, Salvation, you can never go wrong with that, and that pretty much wraps it up. Of course, if you're jungling, if you really want to, you can go into the whole Rage of Gods, Hand of Gods, if you really want to for jungling. If not, Purification Beads. You can never go wrong with Purification Beads. All the gods pretty much have some type of CC, and this will let you immune that. And also, not too many people actually notice this, but if you pop your Greater Purification Beads, it also reduces all of your cooldowns by 3 seconds. So you can use that skillfully if you really want to. But that pretty much wraps it up for the Thanatos build video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.